In my daily work with horses and humans, the topic of stress comes up regularly. I mean, it's clear we are working with horses, living with horses, having horses, and horses need to adapt to our human environment in most of the places in the world, at least. And that can be very stressful for horses. So it can be situations either where we trailer loading, which is a typical stereotype situation of stress, or anything they are faced with in our human world, which might be frightening for them, which they don't understand, whatever, leads to stressed horses. And from our part as humans as well, horses are very big living creatures. So when things are not working how we planned them to work or how we wished for things to turn out, things can get very stressy for us. It's like fear is something, anxiety is something which comes up very often when people are facing stressful situations with their horses. And it can get dangerous as well. So the topic of stress is something we need to find a way to know how to cope with it, because stress is a part of everyone's life and not all stress is negative. So it's more about how can we learn to live in a good way, even with stressful situations. Often the first reaction I encounter when people are facing stress is they want to avoid it, their stress or their horse's stress. And that's never the solution, because we will always be facing stressful situations when we are around horses, because things might come up. And even if we know, oh, we want to avoid, I don't know, the yellow plastic bags around the corner and whatever, we'll meet something else. So it's more about how can we learn to cope with stress better? How can we learn to handle ourselves, our horses, and those situations in a different way? To get to a better coping with stress, we need to understand how these stress mechanisms really work. What is really happening? What is really happening in my behavior? What is really happening in how I'm feeling physically? What is really happening? Why am I thinking those scenarios and all these things? Because if we understand what is really happening, we do find better ways to change our behaviors we can have around those situations. So to understand what happens actually as well physically, so in terms of our nervous system, what are the real mechanisms, what is happening in the moment where I'm feeling stressed, gives us the opportunity to learn different behaviors, different approaches to those situations that we can actually regulate our stress responses in a better way, and on long term become a lot more resilient in how we handle those situations. If we have a better understanding of what is really happening in those stressful situations, it leads to us feeling more secure and to a feeling of safety, because we have something we can understand and we can do something about it. And especially in the relationship with the horse, to manage stress differently instead of trying to avoid it at any cost very often leads to a feeling of greater security for both the horse and us. And that is always beneficial for our relationship with our horses. Stress Mastery is a self-learn online course, which is designed to, first of all, give you really a fundamental understanding of what is happening when you're stressed. And by understanding our nervous system and all the mechanisms which happen internally, which make us feel in our perceived stressful feeling, it helps you, gives you those background knowledge you need, and it gives you exercises for you and exercises for your horse and for both of you together, which will on long term, by repeating them and integrating them on a regular basis, which will give you the opportunity to help your nervous system to regulate itself better and easier, and on long term that leads to far bigger stress resilience. So you will handle stress a lot better with your horse will handle stress better, and it will just improve your relationship and the time you spend together. So the general feeling in your life concerning stressful situations.